from the new recording lair located deep beneath the Wine and Spirit store in Ephrata, Pennsylvania.
You're listening to the Masonic Lite podcast.
Studio 665 presents Masonic Lite podcast. This show is recorded by Masons, for Masons, and is for entertainment purposes only. And please, no wagering.
This podcast is not endorsed by any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous ramblings of the hosts are their own. And now, here's your host.
Hey, everybody. This is Tim, and this is the Masonic Lite podcast.
God, you scared the hell out of me.
Sorry about that. Episode number 157. Do it. Do it.
157.
There it is.
Sorry. That's a lot.
Tonight's episode is brought to you by our sponsors, George J. Grovenson, Hiram Solomon Cigars, Scott Helm Electric, Masonic Timepiece, and Intermezzo by Stephanie.
Huzzah.
Yeah. As well as our fantastic Patreon supporters.
Yay for them.
You too can be a Patreon supporter for as little as $1 a month.
$1.
Just a dollar.
Just
a
one.
dollar.
You can't even get a cup of coffee for $1.
Just $1.
And you get this.
That's right.
It's amazing.
Go to patreon.com/Masonic Lite Podcast.
A bargain at twice the price.
Man, I'm telling you. You can also email us at any time at masoniclightpodcast@gmail.com.
Will anybody actually read that?
We will now. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Masonic Lite Podcast, on Twitter at Masonic Lite.
Ah, geez.
And, of course, our website, which is masoniclight.com. Tonight in studio, we have Larry, we have Josh, and we have Jack.
Yay.
And we're also joined by our guest tonight, Doug Madenford.
Thanks. It's about time you guys said my name
Well,
right. How many years have I been helping out here?
Madenford. See,
Madenford.
It's because we didn't let Larry introduce you.
it's like Maiden Form, except Maiden Ford.
Madenford.
Just one letter. It's
That's
easy.
it. So Doug is the host.
Never heard that before, did you? No, never.
not at all. No.
Doug's Front Porch, and also the voice behind our regular bit on this show of Dutchie Doug. So we're going to look forward to having some time with all of those brethren throughout the show.
You're schizophrenic characters.
That's right, exactly. So, Doug, welcome back. It's good to have you.
It is a pleasure, as always, to be in lovely downtown beautiful Ephrata.
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 Yeah.
All right, Larry, what have you been up to masonically the last couple of weeks?
Breakfast. Goose and grit. Let me get my radio voice on here. Oh, gee. Goose and gridiron breakfast. Let's see. A lot of tall cedar stuff again, which I'll talk about at the closing of the show because of the stuff going on. That's about it.
Okay. Jack.
That was easy. Well, I missed last week's recording, or last session's recording.
Yes, you did.
Because I was speaking at Lodge 43, and that was very well received. I want to just reach out and congratulate Lodge 43. The work was phenomenal. The officers were spot on. The audience was humongous. And it just was really, it was a nice night. I always love to attend a lodge where, the work is well done. And they did a great job. So congratulations to everybody at Lodge 43. And then I went from the sublime to the ridiculous, and we went out to Steffi's Neverland Ranch for Ubar Grotto.
Yeah, how was that?
Where shenanigans were had by all.
Okay.
And trying to think if there's anything else. Nope, that's it.
Okay.
Or maybe something. I don't know. You'll remind me of whatever
I'm
it was
sure
that I
we'll
forgot.
come up with something.
Then I'll butt in, and it's really annoying.
So, Doug, how about you? What have you been up to masonically recently?
Last week at State College Lodge 700, we raised a brand new Master Mason. It was a really nice degree. The work was done really well, and the candidate who became our new Master Mason was super excited, both going into the degree and even more excited after the degree.
Isn't it great?
It was really fun.
I love that.
There's a certain part in the degree when I looked at him, and he looked back at me, and the smile. And you know, everything was starting to come together, and it was a really cool experience that night. And then last weekend, I got the opportunity to travel out to Seven Springs Resort for the 170th annual conclave of the Grand Commandery of Knights Templar of Pennsylvania. And I sat with my good friend and a friend of the show, Alan Moyer. We had some laughs together. Okay. But I do want to give a shout out to Mark Maddern, who is also a friend of the show, the grand recorder. He did an excellent job putting the conclave together. It was really well run, and congratulations to Sir Knight Harry J. Smith, who went out as Right Eminent Grand Commander. He did a wonderful job as well. It was a really nice conclave. Really well done.
Very nice.
Great. I think they're moving boxes upstairs.
It does happen, but it doesn't seem to come through on the record.
Okay.
I don't know.
Good.
But
All right, Josh.
The only thing I did was I showed up to the Millersville Lodge chicken barbecue.
nice.
How many tickets did you have?
I didn't have any tickets,
Oh.
but if I had 2 tickets, I would certainly give them away for the half meal.
order?
Yeah.
2 tickets. They had a good turnout, from what I understand, right?
I think so. I left before the chicken actually came off the grill, so
Okay,
That's never
okay.
a good idea.
yeah, I was there for a good 2 hours, but
I think
chicken
I
wasn't.
was told they only had 25 or 30 chicken halves left, so that was
good.
that was a good sale.
good.
Excellent.
What about you, Tim? What have you been up to?
Since we last met,
Oh,
I
God, I'm waiting
attended
for this.
the Big Valley of Harrisburg's officer installation.
No way.
I've moved up to junior something in the Lodge of Protection. I get to sit on stage now.
Yeah, I saw your picture.
Yeah. So I was also initiated into Aaron Council of Knight Masons, which is a really cool organization. You in that?
Welcome. Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
All right. Are you in the one in Mechanicsburg?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, I missed you at my initiation.
That's because I wasn't there.
I know. It's a really cool degree or degrees, and that was a neat experience. District 3 held a past masters dinner. We get together all the past masters in the district, and it's always fun to get to see past masters that went through the line when you did, and we get together for a night. The dinner and program is always relatively brief, but the fellowship that follows continues on into the night. So that's always a fun night. And then, of course, this past weekend, the Big Valley of Harrisburg's reunion, we initiated 27 new candidates,
Nice.
which was really cool.
Is that the biggest class in a while?
I think so, in a couple of years, probably since the pandemic.
That's good.
And I know a lot of jurisdictions in Scottish Rite are striving to get that Valley of Excellence award. Quite a few got it last year, but once you get it, the bar gets higher, so it becomes more challenging. And I think the Big Valley just got it with their last reunion, which is cool. But there's a couple of other goals that they're striving for. So, that was a lot of fun. 350 in attendance, which I thought was really
that's
cool.
Great.
And lots of good fellowship too. So that's about it.
Did you do the opening?
Welcome to the show, Larry.
Thanks for joining us there, Cornbread.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break and
remember that.
let Larry eat breakfast, and we'll be right back.
My word.
I didn't remember you did the opening. Why choose George J. Grove & Sons for your next home improvement project? At George J. Grove & Sons, we've built our reputation on quality and trust for more than 50 years. From planning to materials to installation, George J. Grove promises a home improvement experience second to none. Whether your goal is reducing energy costs, decreasing maintenance, updating curb appeal, or simply increasing the value of your home, the George J. Grove team will recommend and provide solutions that stand the test of time. Call 717-393-0859 for an estimate, or visit us at georgejgrove.com.
And we're back. And tonight's guest, as we said earlier, is Doug Madenford. Doug is a member of State College Lodge number 700.
And Huguenot Lodge number 377.
Oh, you even pronounced Huguenot.
My mother lodge, yes.
There you go.
And where's that located?
That is in Kutztown, Berks County, Pennsylvania.
You know what Kutz means.
Yeah, I do.
Take it the censors don't let that go through?
I don't think there's any Pennsylvania Dutch censors out there, Timmy. I think we're okay.
Okay. So I understand that your life in State College 700's been really interesting recently.
It has.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
Well, I don't know even where to start. Recently, State College 700 had some excitement, we'll say that, and a brother decided to step out of the line at the last minute, who was pretty high up in the line. I'm not saying this to brag, but the district deputy, who is also someone I travel with a lot for the other bodies and is a past master there in State College, kind of reached out and talked to me a little bit about, maybe you could help us out. And I had shown interest before in possibly doing something like that in the future. And the wheels of motion moved quickly. And I got put into the line, and I'm helping out now, serving as senior warden, and loving every minute of it.
So
in case you missed that.
Let's explode that a little bit. From the sidelines to senior warden.
Yeah.
Boom, right there.
And I delivered the closing charge one of the first nights
his first
there,
night.
too.
Outstanding. So, have you been quietly learning this stuff on the side?
For the last 20-some years. I mean, this year marks my 22nd year as a Freemason, I think. Something like that. Yeah, 21 or 22 years.
Because it's so rare to see somebody step in off the sidelines.
Well, in all honesty...
No, it's not.
Shut up, Larry.
Go back to sleep, Larry.
Larry, we haven't played the intro music yet. Just hold on.
Tell me when you want me to talk, okay?
Let me know when we start.
No, I think in all honesty, yes. I've been going to enough Masonic meetings over the last 21 years for, I think, a lot of osmosis to happen.
Okay.
But also, I have to credit being in leadership roles in all of the York-Rite bodies as far as learning and memorizing and doing ritual there. That I think that's just something that came pretty quickly to me. Luckily, I'm luckily in that sense. I know there's a lot of brothers out there that struggle with that. And when I saw this opportunity, was given this opportunity, I knew that I had to put up or shut up. And I try to make sure I'm on my A game every time we step there on the floor. But it's been working out really well, and I think we have a pretty good future ahead for State College 700. There's some good things that the current Worshipful Master has planned. I've already started talking to some people in this room about potentially speaking next year at State College. And they graciously said yes, and I'm looking very forward to that in the future.
Who is that?
That'd be a brother Jack Harley.
What? No.
Oh, yes, and
Guy's a jerk.
Brother Tim Deadman.
Pay your damn dues.
Right.
Yeah. But no, it's I was talking to Tim and Larry before we started recording. State College is, for those of you that aren't from Pennsylvania, State College is where Penn State University is located, which is the largest university in Pennsylvania. Undergraduate around 40,000, and then another 20,000 graduate students. So, it's a huge university town. The town itself is pretty small. And since we are a lodge in that town, we do get a lot of college kids that come in, get their degrees, and then when they graduate, they move on. Their job takes them somewhere else, or they move back home. So we bring in members, a lot of young members, but the problem is because of the transient nature of State College, they're only there for a couple of years, and then profession takes them somewhere else, or their family, or they can move back home. But I was also telling these guys that State College is also right now a really hotbed as a retirement community for all these old Penn Staters that want to relive their college career. I don't know. Whatever.
Find them drunk on Beaver Street.
Yeah, 60, 70-year-olds laying there. And that has brought in a lot of transfer members too, though. We're getting, this year, I think we brought in 3 or 4 already of people that have transferred their membership to our lodge because they're retiring in State College. So
Are you keeping up with deaths? Are the transfers?
We write them all down. Yeah, we're keeping up with them.
It's a heck of a
because that's kind of the break. Are you breaking even, or are you still like the rest of us? Still,
I don't think we're breaking even, but I think we tend to do maybe a little bit better than some of the other rural lodges that are in our district and that are around us.
Hey, Doug, come on the show. We'll talk about how many guys are dying in your lodge. Are you keeping up with it?
It'll be fun, really.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my big pet peeves is as many lodges as there are in university towns. Millersville is another one.
Yep.
That the lodge doesn't really have anything to do with the college. And I've always felt like there should be a table at orientation day or parents' weekend, especially parents' weekend. I'm not as concerned about having the young kids join because, like you say, they're going to move out anyway. But just to have a table up that says, hey, if you're a Mason, your kid has an uncle here.
Yeah.
Right? I'm your brother. Your kid's here. You know, there's somebody to call if there's a problem or if there's trouble. I know when my kid went up to State College, I contacted the lodge up there and I reached out to them and said, you know, hey, my kid's going to be there. Who, you know, if there's anything going on, who can they call? And,
Well, you're right. Your idea is what we're doing in October at Miller.
Are you doing it?
We're doing it. Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
We're setting up, and we're going to be there. And it's just exactly what you said.
Yeah.
If you're a Mason, you have the uncle thing. That's great. I didn't think of that one, but we're doing that. Yeah,
Excellent. Good.
And we're very lucky at Millersville. We have Acacia I almost said lodge.
Fraternity,
Acacia Fraternity there, which is an offspring of Freemasons out of Michigan.
Yeah,
And they're very active in our lodge. It's really,
No, I agree. I think those are all great ideas. We currently aren't doing that. What we do, there's Central Pennsylvania Festival for the Arts, which is a massive, massive art festival that takes place in State College every summer in July. And part of the festival actually it takes place in front of the street where our lodge building is. And we always do set out a table, and you know, and I mean the foot traffic is insane. Have we ever picked up a new member from that? I don't know, but we have a lot of brothers that are walking around Arts Fest that'll come up and shake. Right, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's a great outreach opportunity that just there's because there's so many lodges in college towns. Elizabethtown, for crying out loud. I mean, there they are right in the middle of everywhere.
Yeah, Kutztown. I mean, my
Kutztown
mother lodge,
has another one, yeah. So, okay, Tim's making hand signals here, but never mind.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to know what they're about. It's a secret.
So we were talking before the show. I love talking to guests before the show, but then I hate talking to guests before the show because
we get the good conversations out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. So before we started, we were talking about kind of lodges in general and how we can help them, how we can.
Larry, you're cut off.
Tim has Larry syndrome.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, Doug.
Yes.
So as we look at the fraternity at large, if we look at Freemasonry at large, we have a lot of urban areas that have significant numbers of lodges. They tend to be close to valleys and other appendant bodies, etc. And they struggle with leadership. They struggle with attendance. They struggle with fill in the blanks. You get to some of our rural places. And this actually came up as a result of a conversation I had with a gentleman that attended the Big Valley's reunion this weekend. He came down from New York, and he said, this is what I'm looking for. This is the kind of stuff I'm looking for. But in upstate New York, the next closest lodge is 65 miles away. And I don't know how to – and my lodge is dead. Basically the last 2 or 3 times I've been there, they've barely had enough to open. And, of course, my step to him was, so did you ask to help him open?
Be the change?
Be the change.
What? Yeah.
But and that's significant. But so how do we, as we're dealing with the retracting, I guess it will, of the numbers in Freemasonry, how do we help lodges and other appendant bodies survive?
Well, I definitely don't have the answer for that. That's for sure.
Oh, we've been relying on
I'm
you.
sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't
sorry.
prepare those
Show's
notes.
over.
Gosh,
But
darn it.
it's it's an absolute truth that, especially in, Pennsylvania is a large state, and we have these massive urban areas, the greater Pittsburgh area, Philadelphia, and all the suburbs, even Harrisburg, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre. And then you have the rest of the state, which is extremely rural. And there are Masonic opportunities in those rural areas. But like you mentioned, like the gentleman from New York, you're driving forever in some instances, and at night. And through the woods for a lot of like northern tier Pennsylvania and even central Pennsylvania up where I am. And I think, the future is what the future will be, of course, but I personally think, especially with a lot of dependent bodies, you're going to see more and more of this, of the contraction and merging. They're going to have to survive. I just look at the dependent bodies that I belong to in central Pennsylvania, where we are in State College, and it's the same core of officers in all of these groups, and you're either driving to Altoona, or you're driving to Johnstown, or you're driving to Williamsport, or you're driving to Towanda to go to an appendant body. And for some of us, that's a 2-hour drive one way to get to a meeting, and it's hard. There's no other way of putting it. So I don't know. I honestly don't know how we're going to address those issues. I think nature's going to take care of some of it. Darwinism is going to take care of some of it.
Are we talking about death again?
Yeah. Well, to a certain extent, but I also think that with that, look, I grew up on a farm, and you have to pull the weeds in order for a vegetable plant or any plant to grow better. And I think not calling some of these smaller bodies or these smaller lodges weeds, but if it's not a healthy plant, then something has to be done. And that might be the tough decision that nobody ever wants to make, that decision, of course. But I don't know. You guys have talked about this issue many times because I think it is one of the biggest issues we're facing.
It is, but and I had this conversation, and I'll say it again. If we look at where we are now and what the trajectory is, and what the trajectory was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we're on such a better path now. Just because, and I'm going to say COVID had a lot to do with it, because everybody was sitting home alone, and they reached out, over the internet and over Zoom and all that kind of nonsense, and got in touch with each other, and I think it changed the direction of the whole thing, and I think it's coming back. I really do believe that. Now, it's never going to be what it was in 1964. Right? When all of those post-war guys were members, and we just ballooned into this ridiculous mammoth. But I really do believe we're in a good path right now. There's education coming. People are coming in that want to be spiritual, and they're looking for something that we have. And
I'm really glad you just mentioned that last point. I agree with you on a lot of that, absolutely. And I think the young guys that are coming into the fraternity and then going on to other bodies, or just coming into the fraternity period, I think are coming in with the right intentions. Where if we look back to the 1964 era, how many of those guys were joining because, I don't know, because they wanted to get more connections in the community, maybe they were a businessman, they wanted to advance their business, where I don't think that's the issue at all. One thing I've really thought a lot about and talked with some of my other Masonic friends is, as I think you guys know this on the show, but I teach high school. And I think one of the things that the fraternity is going to have to somehow figure out is the fact that the number of young men in the future that have a belief in any being is dropping. And how is that going to affect the fraternity?
Right.
When I look at my high school kids, and it's not like we're talking about God all the time, but faith comes up from time to time in conversations. And if I polled my 4 classes today and said, how many of you go to church? I might get, out of a class of 30 kids, maybe 3 to 4. And that's not an exaggeration. And then I might have kids that'll say, well, they're agnostic. There's something, but I don't know what it is. Okay, all right, fine. But then if I ask kids, how many of you don't believe in anything, and you don't have any faith whatsoever, they're always the majority. And that can't be just my high school. I'm not polling every teenage group in Pennsylvania, but that is an issue that I think we as a fraternity will face in the future. And I don't know. Maybe we'll be the outlet for some of those people to.
That's exactly what I'm hoping. We are.
That could be a very real possibility.
I think we are a repository of honor and faith, and that this whole generation that's growing up without either of those things is going to get to a point in their lives where they need that. And we're still going to be here. We will be here. It's not a question of if, but in what form. And if we don't sell out our principles, then we'll be there to step in.
And how do we get that message out to those potentially new guys out there?
We keep it a secret, and we don't tell anyone about it. That's what we do. Yeah. Wait, no. Did I say that?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say that.
I know.
All right.
But, I think in respect to COVID really kind of forcing us to look at ourselves, what I'm seeing on this side of the pandemic are the bodies, particularly lodges, that found a way to stay connected to people during that time are the ones that are now healthy and thriving-ish, et cetera.
Yeah.
Again, they've still got room to grow. They've got room to get better. We all do. But a lot of bodies, people didn't stay connected, and it became easier to stay home on the couch and binge watch something on Netflix or whatever, Game of Thrones, whatever the thing was, and it's hard to change that mindset now.
It is and it isn't, right? Because it only takes one or two guys in a lodge with enthusiasm to really to upset the apple cart. And sometimes the apple cart needs to be upset. Sure. I'm just going to say. And sometimes those new guys with new ideas are sometimes they're annoying. I get it. I was that guy. But you need that energy. You need the enthusiasm and the passion. And one or two guys in a lodge can create a swirl that brings people in. Today, I was at a work event. I was up in Williamsport, your stomping grounds, and I was talking to one of my vendors. He's from Georgia. And I said, I have to, this thing ends at 2:00. I got to get back to Ephrata. I've got to record a podcast. And he said, what kind of podcast do you do? I said, it's a Masonic podcast, a bunch of old white guys sitting around talking about masonry. And he says, are you a Freemason? I said, yeah, I absolutely am. He said, how do I get involved in that? I've been looking for something, to make me a part of the community. How do I get involved in that? And I just said, you just did it.
Yep.
Right there. But we don't say that, right? I mean, the closest we get to that is that to be one, ask one thing, but nobody knows what that means.
Right.
You only know what that means if you know what it means.
Right.
Right? But to say to put it out there that nobody's going to ask you to join their lodge. I mean, they might suggest that you think about it, but you're not going to be invited. If you're waiting to be invited, we have to crush those myths about you have to have a family member who's a Freemason. No, you don't. Where did that come from?
Right.
But people are still hanging on to those myths, and they're not coming to us because they don't think they're allowed to. And
anyway, where I was going to take the rest of the piece was those lodges that came through COVID and are now, thriving-ish, so on and so forth, with these younger guys who have stepped in, and they have connected around their own interests. Mm-hmm. And when you reach out and find out what interests other people, then they are more likely to say to their friends, hey, or that conversation you just explained is likely to happen to them. Now, where are you going tonight? I'm going to a Masonic meeting. What's that all about? Bingo.
Before I left, he caught me in my car and he said, hey, I went on the Grand Lodge of Georgia's website and I found the lodge in my town. And I did please call me. And it's so, but it's that
awesome.
Easy.
It is.
For people that don't do that, they don't have that conversation. They're just dues paying members and they never talk about it. They never express how it's important in their lives. They never share it with other people. That's why your lodge is dead. Because you don't talk about it.
Well, let's be realistic. There's a lot of members that don't know they don't know what it means to them. They don't know what they get out of it. Right. I mean, that's a reality, true. And that's sad.
Yeah,
and we're blamed for that as a fraternity. I think we haven't been good about that. I think we're doing a better job. I think Grand Lodge is doing a much better job about being able to talk about this stuff. But that takes education,
right?
And that takes a total mindset change. And as we all know, that's difficult for a lot of people. But if you'd asked me 10 years ago some of those questions, I wouldn't have been able to really answer them all that well either, or not to the point where I felt comfortable doing it in mixed company. You know what I mean? But I think we're going in the right direction in that sense, but we do need to do more. I agree with you 100%. We need to be able to talk about ourselves.
How do I talk to my friends about this?
Yeah.
The other piece of what we talked about earlier that we can bring up here is how, as individual lodges, as independent bodies, we need to talk about our opening and closing charge and how we live that in the lodge and out of the lodge. Now, we can't openly go in and dialogue the ritual and so on, but we can talk about the love of each other, the coming together, and meeting on the same level regardless of our station in life. How that we can bring up and have discussions on an intellectual basis and can agree and disagree in a way that respects each other. How that when we depart from the lodge, that we reach out to our people around us, regardless of whether they're brothers or not. How that we help them when they fail and aid in their getting better. And as that thing says, if we do that, the world will see us.
This is printed, so you can say it if you want.
Well,
The charges are open. You can say it.
But anyway, so perhaps we'll do an episode on the opening and closing charges, because I really do think
But there's some beautiful poetry.
that
Well, and
is
here's
the-
here's my beef with it. Not my beef with the charges, of course. However, I think too many guys, and this isn't, I'm not blaming them, but too many guys go to lodge, they sit there, and it's somebody gets up, gives the opening charge, and people don't listen to it. It's like, oh, they're giving the opening charge. I heard this opening charge a bajillion times.
10,000
They sit down and they move right into the next part of the meeting. Same way with the closing charge. That guy's like, okay, are we out of here soon? Oh, yeah.
Strawberries
Okay,
coming.
right. Ice cream's coming. They're not listening to it. And I agree with what Tim said. I think especially the closing charge here in Pennsylvania anyway, there is, if you truly listen to it and then you think, I got to do all those things, you really have to start thinking about what kind of a person are you? Are you even coming close to living up to any of that stuff? And I don't know. It's hard. It's hard.
As far back as the mid-1800s, records exist describing the pre-meeting tradition of brethren smoking cigars during and after gatherings. To this day, the practice of smoking cigars remains very much alive in many lodges. This custom is considered a time for brethren to relax, exchange ideas, and enjoy the simplicity and fellowship that is the very essence of our brotherhood. This is what Hiram Solomon Cigars is all about. Our starting principles are to bring Masonic brethren together in the harmony of a good cigar. Pull up a chair, sit back, light up any of our premium cigars, and enjoy the history. Hiram Solomon Cigars can be found at fine cigar retailers. For a complete list, visit HiramSolomonCigars.com or check them out on social media to find out when they'll be at a live event near you. Hiram Solomon Cigars is pleased to be the official cigar of the Masonic Lite podcast.
Who's coming back?
And we're back. We're back with Doug Madenford.
Oh, my God.
Doug is the host of Doug's Front Porch and also the voice of Dutchie Doug. And, Doug, you also have a YouTube channel.
I do.
Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, today I crossed 11,000 subscribers actually on my way down here, so I was
you
really
send
happy
some
to
to
see
us?
that. Yeah, send some to you. Oh, we'll work on it.
Send them all petitions. That's what you need to do. Yeah.
The YouTube channel I've been doing now for almost 10 years. It's almost purely Pennsylvania Dutch content, but it's all in, the vast majority of it's in English, teaching the language, culture, history. We do some music as well. And then every first Sunday of every month, we do a comedy bit, my buddy and I, called Ask a PA Dutchman. Those are funny. I have to admit, we have a lot of laughs when we do those. So yeah, check it out, please.
And you do those on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, those are all on the YouTube channel. So, and the podcast that I run also does post to the YouTube channel as well. So you can get everything there in one location.
How do they get to the YouTube? What do they?
You go to the website youtube.com.
No, this is important. This is not. Because there's a lot of people that don't know this. So for real.
No, for real. If you go to YouTube, which is a website, youtube.com, and then in the search bar, if you search my name, Doug Madenford, Madenford.
Wait, how do you pronounce that?
Madenford.
Thank you.
Or you can search
D-U-G.
PA Dutch 101. either of those searches you'll get my hits right away. And then you can subscribe, of course. And I don't know how many videos are on there, but there's multiple playlists. There's ones that deal just with grammar videos. There's ones that deal with just vocabulary. There's ones that deal with just history. There's cooking episodes teaching you how to cook some certain Pennsylvania Dutch foods. There's a bunch of videos on famous Pennsylvania Dutch people in history. You name it, it's on there. And then we also do have a playlist where our music is on there too. Chris LaRose and I do a group called the Broken Spokes, where we do traditional Americana music, but we also do old Pennsylvania Dutch folk songs that we reimagine in a more modern sound, but we maintain these old songs and give them new life. And we write our own music too. So
that's very cool.
It's very good music.
Thank you.
Very good music.
On your cooking show, is pot pie made with a crust?
Listen, buddy. There are certain
fighting words.
There are certain things in this world. No, of course not. It is real pot pie. I have a couple videos that deal with pot pie, the pot pie question, the great pot pie question.
Yeah.
So
I did see that actually. I really liked that. That was good. No, so. And that's really ramped up over the last few years.
Speaking of pot pie, I was at a dinner for the Adamstown Library fundraiser, and the guest, the chef, was the local chef that used to be the chef at the White House. And he made because he's from here. He's got a restaurant, Leola. He's from here. And he decided that one night it was, I think it was wrapped around 9/11. And everybody was just worn out. It was just everybody was just
drained,
drained emotionally, physically, and stuff. And he said, "Comfort food. We need to make comfort food." And he whipped up a Pennsylvania Dutch pot pie, and he served it to the president. It was Bush at the time. And
did he ask where the crust was?
No, he called him in, and he said, "John, good job."
I never heard that story. That is awesome.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, it was like that. And he served it to Bush. He served it to Clinton.
Yeah,
and they were all like, "Yeah, this is
because they're
right here."
That's right. And I'm going to do one more shameless plug. And I don't know if I talked about this last time I was on the show or not, but in 2019, I was part of a German documentary. Two filmmakers from Germany who came up with this idea. They're from the area of Germany where the vast majority of the Pennsylvania Dutch come from, what's known as the Rhineland-Palatinate or Rhineland-Pfalz in German, right along the Rhine River Valley there. And they wanted to do a story. They wanted to do a documentary about the Pennsylvania Dutch. Like, who are these people? How is it that this language is still being spoken 300 years later? We've carried on words that have been lost back in Germany. We carry on traditions and foods that have been lost over there because of 300 years of history, wars and everything that goes, it happens over a course of 300 years. And we filmed the movie. Half of it was filmed here in Pennsylvania and half of it was filmed in Germany. And it is available on Amazon, and you can watch it there. It's called, this is going to be great, Hibba Be Dribba. But if you search Pennsylvania Dutch documentary on Amazon, you can find that movie. It did really, really well in Germany. We sold out multiple showings, and then we did a tour here in the United States when it came live in 2019, right before the pandemic. And we sold out to all the theaters that we played here in the United States as well, here in Pennsylvania. So I'd highly recommend, if you want to learn more about the Pennsylvania Dutch in a fun way, but also a very visually appealing way, to check that documentary out. We just filmed the sequel this past summer, and that'll be coming out in April of next year. So that's really exciting too. So a lot of good stuff going on.
So another avenue that you go down is the Doug's Front Porch.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. You were just getting going, I think, when you were here last.
That's right. That's right. The idea came out actually during the pandemic. I was bored. I don't know how I was bored, but I was. And I like to talk to people. I've always liked to talk to people. And I had just come out of doing this movie, and in the movie I played the main character that is constantly interviewing people, and I felt really comfortable doing that. And I thought, I'm going to, this podcast opportunity, I'm going to take it. So I bought myself a microphone, and I sat down, and I thought of the first 10 people that I'd love to talk to, and a lot of them were old friends. And I said, hey guys, you wouldn't mind talking to me for an hour on a podcast? And it is, I grew up in an old farmhouse here in Southeast PA, and we had a giant front porch, like everybody does. And 2 rocking chairs were out there. And as a kid growing up, that is where we sat in the summer. And that was where a lot of the best conversations ever happened. Sometimes they were silly. Sometimes they got deep. Sometimes they were arguments, Mm-hmm. And I just thought, the best place that I know where people feel comfortable talking is sitting on a front porch or on a back porch. So that's kind of the concept I went with. I do 2 episodes a month, comes out on the 1st and the 15th of every month, and I just have a conversation with a random person, usually somebody that I know in some form, and we just talk. They tell me about their life, ask them silly questions sometimes just to get the conversation flowing. But it's been really, I really enjoy doing it, and I always get the comment that I love the best is when we're done taping an episode, we'll talk for an hour and the guests will be like, "We're done? How long was that?" We were talking for like 70 minutes. No, we weren't. Really? That fast? It's a real laid back, just like we're having a conversation on 2 rocking chairs on my front porch. And I'll say, no, go ahead, Larry.
When you were on the front porch, did you do green beans and snap them? And
Larry, you're taking me back to my childhood.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was
Capping
my childhood.
strawberries.
That was
Yeah.
my
We were,
childhood.
shelling peas, snapping string beans,
Yep.
cutting corn on the cob off for freezing.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff happened on my front porch.
Yep.
Yeah. No, but it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. In fact, Pete, our good friend Pete here from the show, was a guest on the show. He got a lot of ratings that day when that one dropped. He got a lot of good clicks. It was a great conversation. I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
We have never been invited on the front porch.
Yes, we have.
No, we haven't.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, we have, Larry.
Some of us have.
So wait a minute.
So, Doug,
I know about Pete.
Larry, check your mail when you get home.
We talked at dinner tonight about that. But I said, when can we come up to your place to be in your front porch?
Your band.
He's begging.
I don't have
begging
a
for
front
an invite.
porch. Yeah, to build
begging.
one.
I have a back porch now.
Well, we had Larry's back porch this afternoon.
We did.
Yes, we were.
did.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So, obviously, a lot of our listeners, and I understand he may be here somewhere in the studio. We'll have to track him down for our next segment. But, Dutchie Doug makes an occasional appearance.
Yeah, and I have to admit, so I was thinking a lot about this on the drive down today. So the first time I was here on this show, I don't know what year that was, a couple years ago, in this very studio.
1890.
Yeah, right. It was in the Cleveland administration.
Right.
How's that for a shout out?
Underrepresented.
Yeah, darn right it was. Mugwumps and all. That came out of nowhere because it was February. I know that, and somehow one of you guys asked me about Fosnock.
And it was Groundhog Day.
And yeah, we were talking about and
Going south.
I
have
just
to.
did what I usually do whenever Chris and I perform. I throw an accent, really thick one on, like my grandparents had, and just talk dumb. As Pennsylvania Dutch speakers, we always say, Pennsylvania Dutch people are trilingual. We speak English, we speak Dutch, and we speak dumb. And that's what we do best, telling stupid stories, stupid jokes, and just making fun of ourselves. And that night, it organically happened. I think it was you, because I said you smear the butter on, and you just lost it. I think to myself, who doesn't smear butter on their Fosnock?
Next thing you know, Dutchie Doug.
And that was when I left that night. I think Pete might have emailed me the next day or something and said, "Hey,
We need some bits.
would you mind doing 1 or 2 of those?" Yeah, gladly. Well, how many years later now? I mean, I love doing the bits for you guys. I love sending them in. Larry tells me that they go over well. I don't know.
They
But
do.
I really
Absolutely they
appreciate
do,
it.
yeah.
I really
Telling you why.
we have fun.
Come on, tell him. He doesn't believe me.
Between things that Larry says and does, the number one comment that I hear, especially when you're not on, is, "Where the hell's Dutchie Doug?" We haven't heard from him in a while.
Well, the broken plow only meets 1 time a month, so it only can happen.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about their latest.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do a lot. Broken Plow's going live tonight, buddy.
yeah, that's going to be fun.
Is this the one I'm thinking about?
I don't know, Larry,
We'll
what you're
see.
thinking. I don't think
You just
anybody
have
knows.
to
What
wait.
Nobody really knows what Larry's thinking.
we'll
Nobody
see.
knows. That's
We'll
right.
see, Larry. We'll see.
So, you're a high school teacher. The school year is about to wrap up.
Yes.
What do you got going on over the summer?
Well, we're performing a couple places over the summer, doing some gigs. If anybody's in Kutztown, over the first week of July is the annual Kutztown Folk Festival, one of the largest and oldest folk festivals in the United States.
That is a biggie.
It is huge. We're voted number 2 this year by the USA Today for the number 2 folk festival in the country.
I like that you pronounce all 4 letters of that word, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm just saying.
And for you people who are thinking about making a trip to the Kutztown Fair Folk Festival,
yes,
you really want good chicken pot pie, that is the place to get it.
Well, it's good everything. I mean, it's good food. It's a good educational opportunity. There's seminars. There's live entertainment. And everything comes in with your entrance fee. You don't pay anything extra while you're there unless you're buying something from craftsmen or artisans. But your entrance ticket gets you all the free entertainment. And there are 4 stages of constant entertainment. Sometimes there's educational stuff going on. Sometimes it's music. Sometimes it's folk dancing. There's sheep shearing that's done live for the audiences. It's a huge festival, and I highly recommend it. Even if you know nothing about the Pennsylvania Dutch, just to go to see the art that's on display, and the quilt barn alone is worth the trip up. But I'll be there performing July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 2 shows every day, music, fun, jokes. So, yeah, you can check out kutztownfestival.org to be there if you want to check it out.
It's a great place. Really,
it is really cool. It is really, really cool.
And you can buy these signs that you attach to your barn for fertility.
They're called hex signs.
Hex signs are wonderful.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say that word.
Well, the Pennsylvania Dutch word is Shia so you could really impress your friends and say that.
Hexablive.
Yeah.
You broke out in something earlier and got kudos on it.
You said Stoppkeppig earlier tonight. There's your Pennsylvania Dutch word of the night.
That's what we were.
Brethren.
Was that what we were describing Jack or what?
Someone that Stoppkeppig is stubborn. So I don't know if Jack's stubborn or not, but that's the word in Pennsylvania Dutch.
No, I'm a marshmallow.
You lost your noose.
I know. I'm sorry. My 4-in-hand noose.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to hear from Uncle Walter. No, he's still on
There's
vacation.
nothing fun happening in Freemasonry right now. There's
All right,
nothing ironic or absurd, like, people getting kicked out or grandmasters going berserk. So Walter's very quiet right now.
You asked us to think about that tonight at dinner. We couldn't come up with
To
it.
our listeners,
so boring.
If you can find some content for Uncle Walter, he's in need. So
I got a website to send you, Uncle Walter.
if things are going sideways somewhere in your world, post something on our Facebook.
Tell us about
page.
your dysfunctional lodge.
Yeah, right. And we'll make sure we highlight it. It's interesting. I posted. We talked about this earlier. The last 2 or 3 episodes we've posted at the beginning of the day that if you wanted a shout out on tonight's episode, give us your name and location, and we'll do a shout out. We'd get dozens, literally dozens. I posted one tonight to say, hey, if you've got a summer event going on, then we'll plug it on the show. Just let us know here. Got nothing.
That's the cricket sound effect.
Actually, we did get one, and I'm going to mention it later. But
I saw him.
Yeah. No, it's a legitimate event.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, there's a legitimate event that actually came out before I posted it. So that somebody had contacted us on Messenger and said, hey, can you plug this on your show? So anyway, we'll do that. But we're going to take a quick break. I'm not sure who we're going to hear from here, but when we come back, I'm going to see if we can track down Dutchie Doug and hear about the Broken Plow Lodge. So we'll be right back.
Vonst.
Hello, this is Austin Shifrin, and welcome to Bone and Marrow, a short segment of Masonic learning. Today's segment is entitled Man Up. When I was a child, I was fond of drawing. I remember all of my illustrations of men were always depicted in suits and ties, with pointy dress shoes and briefcases. In hindsight, it's not hard to identify the influences that resulted in this image for me. My father was an attorney. My stepfather owned a construction company. Both of them were similarly attired whenever they left for work. All of this might say something to the listener about my urban and urbane upbringing. A little boy who grows up in a different background or a different walk of life might always draw little men in jeans and boots, carrying lunch in a cooler and a box of tools. All of this is my way of saying that even from a young age, we can have different concepts in mind of what makes a man a man. We can come to these different conclusions as a result of varying influences, coming from our culture of origin or the culture that we land within, the influences of our peers and of the media. What are the concepts that many of us share today? We picture men as providers, as being strong and reserved when it comes to their feelings, keeping their suffering, if there should be any, quiet and to themselves, and as being leaders. These concepts, which had their origins in historical truths, wind their way into literature and even into our grasp of the broader universe. If your tastes run in an esoteric direction, this plays into Kabbalah and the cosmic masculine and feminine. In a more pedestrian sense, we're talking men are from Mars, women are from Venus type stuff. As humankind progresses and society evolves, we may find that roles that were historically allocated to one gender or the other are not exclusively the province of that gender. Whatever your personal feelings on these points, we find it is no longer unheard of for the woman in a relationship to be the breadwinner. It's not always in the best interest of our own mental and emotional health to keep our suffering to ourselves. And that in our communities, we benefit from the diversity of perspectives that comes from having women in leadership positions. So now, what is left the exclusive province of men and manhood? I don't claim to have all the answers, but I can think of at least one. I think our fraternal organization should be a forum in which we discuss intelligently how our role evolves and changes, and how to navigate this change with dignity and respect for mankind and womankind alike. I hope you enjoyed this segment of Masonic Learning, and if you're interested in more such as this, please look out for my book, More Light, Collected Masonic Writings 2017 to 2021, now available on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and as an Apple ebook. Thanks, and take care.
All right, and we're back. The boys are testing out their new equipment tonight. They are so happy.
We got microphones.
They have swing arms. Oh, my gosh.
And they don't make
They
a noise
move
when
and
you
they're
move them
quiet,
around.
and it's
The
so
question, Larry, does your voice sound better tonight?
I think it sounds fantastic tonight, doesn't it?
It's the swing arm.
It's the swing
Swing
arm.
It's
arm.
the swing arm.
It's the swing arm.
Yep.
Larry's a swinger.
All right. Well, we are joined in the studio by none other than Dutchie Doug. Welcome back to the Masonic Lite Studios, Dutchie.
It's nice to be out of my valley and be down here in Big Air for the son of a gun. Hey, hello, brethren. It's Dutchie Doug here with an update from my lodge at Broken Plow number 377. Now, you people in Pennsylvania probably know about this Pennsylvania Masonic Blood and Organ Donation Program,
yeah.
right? Well, as I said before, us out there in the Broken Plow, we get things about, well, it takes a while for the news to get on to us, right? So we just found out about this about 2 weeks ago, and we decided, son of a gun, we really want to get going on this. We want to do something. So we called the Red Cross, and we said, we want to do one of these blood drives, and we want to do it now because we're ready. And they said, do you really think you'll get enough guys? Oh, Donavera, we said, I'm telling you, we'll get 50. Easy. We'll be there. So they set up the date. And we announced to the brethren, we're going to do this blood drive. We're going to do a big breakfast beforehand. You give your blood. We'll have a lunch afterwards, and then you can go home. So the day came. We had a huge breakfast. You know, a Pennsylvania Dutch breakfast. Uh-oh. We had scrapple. We had home fries fried in lard. We had eggs. We had bread. We had homemade butter, shoe fly pie. It was the table runneth over, as we'd say. And these Red Cross people came in and saw all this food. They just looked at it like, what? They're used to seeing just orange juice and crackers or something like that. And we had the full spread, you know. And all the guys were up there chawing down 4 or 5 pieces of scrapple, couple pieces of bacon, potatoes, eggs. You know how it goes, you know. And this lady was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And every guy was lined. We had 53 guys in the end sign up to give blood. And she was shaking her head the whole time. This is crazy, but we're going to do it because these guys are here. So every guy laid down, put the arm out, put the needle in, boom, pint of blood. It went fast. I'll tell you what. There was no, you can always find the vein on a Dutchman. And anyway. Now wait, was that a joke? Yeah, okay. We got done giving blood. And then we had lunch. You know what was for lunch? Pig stomach, stuffed pig stomach. Now, for those you don't know, you take a pig stomach and you stuff it with potatoes, carrots, celery, onions, sausage, pork ribs, chestnuts, whatever you can find. Well, you know, we ate that. We had pie again, shoe fly pie, coffee, and, you know, everybody went home. And the lady who was in charge from the Red Cross pulled me aside and said, you guys always eat like this. I said, well, yeah. yeah. She goes, was this special today? No, this is how. I said, no, this is how we always eat. That was typical breakfast and lunch. No big deal. She goes, well, I'm a little worried. I said, why would you be worried? She goes, well, I don't know if you know anything about how blood works, sir, but those foods were not very healthy. I said, well, I don't know what to tell you. That's what we eat. She said, okay. They packed the blood up and they went away. A week later, I got a phone call to the lodge. I'm the secretary, and it was from the Red Cross. And the lady said, we need to talk. I said, about what? She goes, could you get those 53 guys together again that gave blood? I said, well, sure. I said, is something wrong? She goes, I don't want to talk about it over the phone. I want to do it face to face. Well, now you can imagine what I was thinking. She said, tomorrow, noon. I said, I'll have them ready. So the next day came noon. We were all sitting in the social hall there, and in walks a lady from the Red Cross, and she had a doctor with her too. White coat, stethoscope, all that stuff. Carrying a defibrillator in a box, all these things. I don't know. And we all sat down, and she says, gentlemen, I would like to thank you. We said, well, no, the pleasure was all ours. We knew we were saving a life, We were doing what we were supposed to do. And I said, well, what's the deal? What's the matter? Is everything okay? She goes, I don't know how to say this. Well, I thought, oh my God, everyone's kind of mumbling to themselves. And she said, I brought along Dr. Hotspots. That was his name. He was Pennsylvania Dutchman, I guess. I don't know. And she said, we checked all your blood, and I was sure that we weren't going to be able to take it. And one of the guys in the back of the room said, what do you mean you wouldn't take our blood? She goes, now settle down. I saw the food you were eating, and I had to think to myself, their cholesterol level's going to be through the roof. There's no way I could give this blood to somebody else. It'll harden an artery as soon as we put it in them, right? She said, but when we ran your blood, it was perfect. The HDL and LDL, and she was saying all these letters. I had no idea what she was talking about. They were great. She goes, I don't get it. She goes, she just pointed to the one guy. She goes, tell me what's a typical day for you? And he says, well, I get up, I have my breakfast, I have coffee, and then, well, what do? I sweep the porch and the walkway. I go out and weed the garden. I walk a lot, too, and then go out and milk the cow, maybe, press some apples for apple cider, and then get home and, come in from the barn, have a big lunch, go back on. Well, then we slop the pigs, and we do this, and we go out and we make hay, get back, and then we have supper, and then I go to bed. And she says, how many of the rest of you, is that a pretty typical day? Oh, all the hands shot up. I mean, that's pretty typical for us. She said, it just doesn't make sense. She goes, I want to put all of you in a medical test. She goes, you need to be studied. This don't make sense. And Dr. Hotspots, he was there, and he just kept nodding his head the whole time. He goes, I think I might get a Nobel Prize out of this study. So we just said, hey, was the blood okay? Can you use it? She said, yes. And we said, good, we'll do it again next month if you need us. We're still waiting to see what comes out of this study. But what am I supposed to say? Pennsylvania Dutch blood is pretty darn good, I guess.
That's awesome.
Now wait, I'm not done.
Oh, okay.
Pennsylvania Grand Lodge heard about this. And they sent us a really nice plaque. Get it? Plaque. Thanking us for the many brethren donating, but did also let us know that we probably should eat a little healthier next time around. Hey, dear friends, till next time, work hard, stay plumb, and out in the lights when you leave the room.
That is great. Well, Doug, it's always good to have you with us. I want to hear, I got some questions, though. You all recently held a cooking event.
Yeah, we did.
Was it a pot pie contest?
No, it was red beet eggs.
Oh, red beet eggs. Oh, yeah. All right.
Road Reba oil.
Yeah. Well, I heard that went over really big.
Oh, my God. It was huge. Yeah, everybody had, everybody had 14 eggs to try till it was all said and done.
And how did that end?
Well, it came out in the end, that's for sure. If you listen to the story, you know we had to open all the windows.
Yeah,
we had to open all the windows.
I did. But, I think, Doug, you've hit on something here. Your lodge has done a great job of reaching out to its members and finding the things that really are meaningful to them.
The right food.
Well, that too.
Well, it comes back around to food.
Yeah, we have
I didn't hear any green
it's-
beans in there. You guys?
No, they're green. We don't eat a lot of green stuff. The average Pennsylvania Dutch plate's
Gray.
pretty brawn. When you think about brawn or gray, right?
Oh, gosh. So, how's membership in the Broken Plow
doing no
Lodge?
better. As soon as a guy turns 18, As soon as a guy turns 18 in our valley, he's knocking at the door.
All right.
He really is. What can I say? I can't explain it. When you're doing something right, you just keep doing it. We've been doing the same damn thing for almost 160 years, so we're going to keep at
But
it.
it seems to be working.
Yeah.
Are you going to have a pumpkin throwing contest again?
We are thinking about it. The police got involved this year and said, well, they wanted to check first, and then they said, you might need a permit. And then I said, buddy, we don't need no stinking permit out here in our valley.
No pumpkin
He said,
chunking permit
well, we're
out
going to have
here.
to find out. So the verdict is still out. We don't know for sure if we're going to punky chunk this year or not. Maybe. You know how that turned out last year, though.
Yeah, it did.
That got
Yeah.
No pumpkins were harmed.
No pumpkins were harmed in that.
Jack has some experience in that.
No, mine is a roll.
Right.
It's a pumpkin roll. It's a whole different thing.
No seniors were injured in
No
that,
seniors, no.
That was a fun
We
thing.
did it once, and then they canceled the
autumn days.
Yeah,
Right. It's known as the MLP curse. Bathroom time?
No. Wind it up.
Boy, he is really in a mood tonight.
What'd you say, Larry?
I think he said wind it up.
Did he say wind it up?
I think so.
Wind it up. All right, so.
I'm not saying it. I'm making the motion.
Larry, I'm really glad that to
Stir
be
in
here
the
tonight
class.
and that I've entertained you so
Exactly.
much.
You
So
did.
much that he
No,
wants to wind it
Yeah,
up and get you the
right.
hell out
Hey,
of here.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's right. Get the fuck.
I want the audience to know that Doug is. He was going to stay in town. We were going to put him up in a hotel.
Oh.
But he decided
very nice of us.
He was going to drive home tonight
Yeah.
and save us the money.
Well, no, that's not the reason. Yes, I did want to save you guys the money. Thank you. No, I was thinking the reason I did change my mind.
Can I have my $20 back?
No, you cannot have your no.
I would have had to wake up at like 4 a.m. tomorrow morning to get to school on time. So I was like, nah, I'll just drive home tonight. So, but I appreciate the hospitality.
Well, you'll be happy to know there's
He
no
doesn't have
deer
a
on the
day
road.
off.
Yeah, right, I'm saved.
None, not a one.
what?
I got those whistles
He
in the
said
front of
he
my
has to
car.
He has to go to school tomorrow.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but I only got 5.5 days, and then school year's over.
Nice.
God,
What are you going to do with those kids now that grades have already been due?
well, that's a whole nother story. No, this has been this is my 21st year teaching, and post pandemic, everything has changed. The kids, especially, it's a whole new world. That's the whole episode about like where teaching in public ed is moving to in the future, and it's scary. I mean, there's a huge teacher shortage in Pennsylvania. It's across the country too.
Sure.
And that's another thing that the Commonwealth's going to have to figure out. How do we fix that? We only awarded 4,000 teaching certificates last year.
Wow.
And to put that into perspective, in 2016, I think we gave out 14,000, 15,000, somewhere around there.
That's real bad.
Yeah, and
Wow.
we're on the cusp of a huge wave of retirement as well, and we have more teachers leaving the profession early than ever before. I can think of in my building alone, we had 3 people that just walked away. They just walked away from in the middle of their career.
Why? Can you say it? I mean, can you
Well,
talk
I
about
mean,
it? I don't want you to get you in trouble. Or
I'm not.
anything.
I don't think I'll get in trouble saying about this. And when I talk to friends of mine that teach in other school districts, it's the same things that keep coming up. A lot of the kids that we're dealing with now have major aggression issues. They can't handle themselves. And all the stereotypes throw out there, short attention spans. But the thing that I run into the most and what I hear in the hallway is that a lot of the kids that I see on a daily basis, not all, of course, but a lot of them, they just don't know how to do school. Like how to well, this is really going to sound rough, but how to be a normal person. I wished a kid a happy birthday the other day. He didn't even say thank you, but he didn't even acknowledge it.
You
and
don't exist.
And there's a lot of kids you'll say hi to in the hallway or good morning, and it's just they don't even. You're right. They don't acknowledge you. They can't handle any kind of criticism, and good criticism. Hey, I want to help you fix this, or hey, let's think about trying to do it this way. They either automatically shut down, or they verbally become aggressive. And I wasn't trained for that. And I'll tell you, for people outside of education, I'm no longer just a teacher. None of us are just teachers anymore. That's probably the least amount of my job. The majority of my job has become being a social worker, being a therapist, being a counselor, being just a set of ears for a kid. And it's a totally different field. It's different than it was 5 years ago. It's way different than it was 20 years ago when I started. And I understand why people are burning out, why people are leaving. And then on top of all of that, now you're also dealing with the state is continually making it more difficult too. More paperwork, more trainings. You're constantly having to do this, having to do that, having to do this. You're not teaching anymore. And that's what a lot of people see. And they're like, I went to school to become a teacher. I want to teach. And that's probably the shortest amount of what you're doing in a day. It's a scary world right now in that sense, as far as public ed is concerned. But something's got to give. And I don't know what that's going to be yet. So. Well,
also, too, new teachers coming in do not have the same benefit structure.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. In
That's
Pennsylvania.
hard
to
attract people right out of college that want to teach, and they realize, oh my gosh, this isn't anything like my dad who retired.
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Tim, you were in the education field.
I was. And when I finished my career where I did, a couple of school districts approached me about coming and doing some part-time teaching or whatever, and there's no way I could do that.
Yeah.
It has changed so much over time. And everything you said is 100% accurate. Teaching has become such a small part of what is expected of
the actual
a teacher.
teaching.
All right. I can't not say this.
Say it.
Earlier in this episode, we talked about people that are coming of age without any faith or without any central core of belief. And I'm not here to promote anybody's religion, but you have to believe in something. And we're teaching them not to believe in anything. And this is the product that we're getting from that philosophy, and it just isn't healthy.
Right. There's a huge parenting crisis in our country too.
My God.
I mean, we can talk about the crisis that is public ed, but it all stems the fact that we have a huge parenting crisis in this country.
Without a doubt.
And there again, there's where a group like Freemasonry can make a difference.
Oh, yeah. Bringing
in a young guy who might be a father already, or maybe will be a father, and giving him that structure that maybe he isn't getting anywhere else. Let's bring it full circle. I mean, because if you make him a good person, hopefully that'll equate to him being a good father,
better dad,
and raising a good kid, or at least raising a kid.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's a lot of that missing, man.
What happened to our craft that throughout history of the United States was instrumental in forming public schools all over the country. Colleges and universities were formed by Freemasons. We were so heavily into education. And back in the 1930s and 40s, we started withdrawing from it, and we haven't been involved with it since. Our answer to that now is to give a few scholarships every year, and that's it.
Well, it's become about
we
money.
do not.
Well, and this is, for instance, Demolay and Rainbow, and that we're preaching to the wrong choir.
Right.
I mean, we're preaching to the children of Masons. That's not where we need to be with those groups.
That's
we
right.
need to be out in the city, looking for single parent families
or rural America too.
Rural America,
no, absolutely.
Yeah. And those are the people that those organizations are designed to work with, and we're not even scratching the surface there.
And I think what Doug was saying, he has those problems in what I would term as a rural school district.
Sure.
Yeah.
And those cities, in the cities in the United States, they're compounded exponentially with those types of problems.
And I mean, you could turn it around. I mean, long term, it comes back to marketing and the idea that you're being inundated with these images of things that you have to have. You're not really real unless you own these shoes or this car or these clothes or this whatever. So that both of your parents have to work in order to pay for all these things that you have to do, and there's nobody at home to raise the kids. Yeah.
And yet the only thing a public school teacher is judged on is a test score that occurs.
That's a whole other
story.
story.
Period.
Completely arbitrary set of
that means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Well, in my case as a German teacher, I'm graded on how well my high school students do on their state biology test.
Correct.
How's that make you feel?
Yeah. There you go.
And on their algebra and on their English.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's a part of my overall performance rating.
We could do a whole show.
Oh, yeah. We don't get into that.
We could do a whole podcast on this.
That's what I mean,
let's not get it. But
all right.
Well, we brought that down from a high.
I will say this. Let's
Can we
close
talk
with that.
about cancer for a while?
No,
Can we do that?
But that's where I would love, but again, it's staffing issues on our end.
Sure.
Groups like DMLA, groups like Rainbow Girls, Job's Daughters, they would be a huge help to a lot of these areas. But who's going to do it?
Right.
And that therein is a real legit problem.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is that is an issue, I'm sure. So, but I agree with you. 100%.
So we've already taken our last break, so we're going to go around the horn here and talk about what's coming up Masonically. But one of the things we discovered is we here at the Masonic Lite podcast have a very busy summer ahead of us. While lodges call off from labor, we are going to be at a host of events, sometimes one or two of us and sometimes all of us. So I want to review those, and then we can supplement with our own individual
Should we have
lists.
event sponsors? Should we do?
Yeah, we would be happy to take event sponsors
we could do that.
You want to do that. But on June the 4th, we will be at the Valley of Reading. They are having their first ever steak and cigar event. And so the deadline to sign up for that has already passed. But if you are attending that event, make sure you stop and talk. On Saturday, June the 10th, the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania will be having its quarterly communication in Elizabethtown. And I believe most of us will be there. And it is a relaxed dress event, which is highly unusual for Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Basically, polo shirts and slacks are appropriate. And so we would look forward to seeing you at that event.
Picnic.
It is a picnic. There'll be a barbecue following. On the 17th, Lodge of Research. Thank you.
Can't read your own handwriting.
I'm trying to understand my own acronyms up there. The Pennsylvania Lodge of Research will be meeting in Altoona, and our very own Jack Harley will be presenting a paper.
God, I'm scared to death.
Oh, he's going to do a great job. So if you're attending that event, think good thoughts of Jack and wish him well.
Come out. It's open to all Master Masons.
It is open to all Master Masons. On July 21st, the Valley of Harrisburg will be sponsoring their golf outing in support of the Children's Dyslexia Center. And the Masonic Lite podcast will not only be a sponsor, we'll have a foursome there, and we'll be doing, as we have in the past, regular updates throughout the day. That's always a lot of fun. Then on August,
Josh, are you going to play?
Sure, I even have my own clubs.
Oh, will you bring them?
No, I don't.
Just kidding.
On August the 12th, Doug, why don't you talk about the Cave Degree sponsored by the 21st Masonic District?
There will be a cave degree on August the 12th.
What a clever idea.
By the 21st Masonic District. I can't give you any more details on that because we're still working those out, but it's going to be at Woodward Cave, which is in central Pennsylvania, about 25 minutes outside of State College. I will send those details along to the guys here at the podcast so that they can spread the information when I have it.
Great, thanks. And then on August the 19th, the Big Valley of Harrisburg will be having their barbecue and cigar event. That's always fun, and we look forward to seeing you there. And then we turn the page into September. And Jack, talk about Lodge in the Woods.
Well, Lodges in the Woods is a biennial event. Ooh, vocab word.
Yeah.
We do it every other year. We do it on odd number years. That's what we're in right now, in case you're wondering. This is a very odd year. It's an event where we meet at Camp Mack, the Edward J. Mack Scout Reservation. I believe it's in Newmanstown, technically, on Route 501, a little bit north of Lidditz. And there's a beautiful dining pavilion where we will be serving steak dinner. And we're going to have some extracurriculars there this time. We just serve dinner and then go down to the meeting, but we're going to have the podcast set up. So we'll be doing some spot recording at that event. Yep. The event's always attended by the Grand Master and numerous members of the Grand Line. I know we'll have a good turnout this year. We usually get about between 300 and 400 people for this. If the weather is nice, we meet in an amphitheater outdoors under the blue canopy of heaven. It's beautiful. A couple of big bonfires. If it's raining, the pavilion is big enough to house us, so we're under roof if it rains. And tickets are available on eventbrite.com. Just go on eventbrite.com and in the search box type in Lodge in the Woods 2023 and it will bring you to tickets. Tickets are $40 plus a service fee from Eventbrite. And we would love to have everyone there for that.
So the one event that got posted on our Facebook page today that asked us to plug was from the Susquehanna de Malay. They are celebrating 100 years of operation. Wow. They're inviting us to join them for a picnic celebration on July the 2nd from 4 to 7 in Dallas, PA. Reservations are required by June the 17th, so we've got a little bit of time there. You can send an email, dmalaysusquehanna@gmail.com, and it's also posted on our Facebook page as a share where you can learn more. So thank you to that organization for responding to our call. And
be surprised the number of DeMolay guys, kids that listen to us, young men.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
we're invited back.
And we're invited back to Keyman.
Yes, we are to
So
Keyman.
we're looking forward to that. One other event that's not on our calendar, but I'll go ahead and plug it shamelessly anyway, is on the 27th of September. District 3 will be having a Lowvale, which is the week after Lodge in the Woods. So we look forward to that. He's showing us where Dallas, PA is.
Oh, is that where it is? Okay,
it's up around Scranton?
It's up around Scranton.
Oh, my gosh.
So it'll be a hike, but we'll get there. We'll get there. We can do a road trip.
Larry's band.
Yeah, Larry's band.
There's a restraining order.
All right.
The order hasn't expired.
Larry.
Yes. Oh, what?
What's coming up?
Goose and Gridiron at the Square Mile Public House in Mountville, Pennsylvania, every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock for the past 16 years. Can you believe that?
What?
16 years. Goose and Gridiron's been beating for 16 years.
I think he's fudging the numbers.
No, I'm not.
On 6 planets.
Yes.
No. Oh, come on.
2 galaxies.
I'm telling you.
I believe you. I have no reason to not believe you.
Yeah, and the Big Tall Cedars picnic, the annual picnic, is on Saturday.
This Saturday?
Yep, and you're not
2 days before this episode comes out.
Yeah. Oh well. Oh yeah, that's right. Well, it's still in the future.
Okay.
Can't help that.
Whose future?
By the time you hear it, you won't
You've
be able
missed
to
a great
be in the
time.
future.
And that's
You've
okay.
missed a great time.
Because we don't have enough food to feed you anyway. But bottom line,
said.
Our lodge meeting on the 4th. No, not the 4th. The 6th of June. I'll be attending that one.
Good.
Because it's the last meeting before we shackle up everything for the closing of the. When we darken the lodge.
No, we're
not darkening anything.
You turning in your charter, are you? You turning in that charter?
Nope, it's an old Southern term. Don't worry about it.
No. You're calling off from labor. Jack.
I've got a couple things. If I could get my calendar to work right, not a lot. I mean, I do my regular.
Look at these boys using their calendar.
I do. I know. We took it from you. It's terrible. It's a horrible thing. I do my regular Monday Night Light with the new candidates as we're coming through. There is on. No, that's not. Ubar's not happening. That already did. On the 3rd of June is the District Reading, whatever the Reading area is. This is
7th or 8th Masonic
7th, I think. Yeah. Anyway, they're having a casino night at the Reading Masonic Center.
Yeah,
so,
we announced that on the last show.
Yeah, we announced that on the last show, but if we can put a link to that on the webpage, that'd be great. That's a fun night. Bring your spouse. It's a fundraiser for the Masonic Center or whatever for the I don't know what it's a fundraiser for anyway. But that's kind of it. Yeah, that's all I got going on. Not a ton.
Okay. Doug, how about you or Dutchie Doug? Anything going on in Lodge 700 or Broken Plow?
Just me. Tomorrow night, I will be installed as senior warden of the Council of Princes of Jerusalem for the Valley of Williamsport.
Slobbering Prince.
Slobbering Prince.
All right.
That'll be. That's tomorrow night. And then next week, we have Bellefonte Royal Arch Chapter number 271, a regular meeting, followed up by the following Wednesday, Constance Commandery number 33, Knights Templar in Bellefonte as well. Monthly conclave. That's it.
Very cool. Joshy.
Like Larry said, we have lodge meeting, Millersville Lodge number 476.
Lamberville,
Millerton.
What's he doing?
Oh, we have water.
Do we?
Yeah. All right, continue. You done?
Larry's taking that diuretic again?
I'm done. I'm podcast.
Okay. So I just want to call out one item, actually two. Eureka West Shore Lodge number 302 will have its June meeting on Monday, June 5th. And prior to that, at 5:30 p.m., we will be having a brisket and pulled pork dinner, smoked brisket and smoked pulled pork for a donation. You can check out our Facebook page. Reservations are encouraged. The meal is beginning at 5:30. The program will be at 6:30, and then the lodge will have a brief business meeting at 7:30 p.m.
Nice.
So if you are in the area, we would welcome you. And then we're going to take up the challenge of Broken Plow. We're going to have a blood drive on Wednesday the 7th. So if you're in the central Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, Mechanicsburg area, you can go to Central Pennsylvania Blood
I want to
Bank
see an organ
and sign up.
drive. Can we have an organ drive? We just bring people in and take a liver.
Yeah,
or,
that's right. Exactly.
Can we do that? Is that no?
Can we do that? I don't know.
Well, the Broken Plot's going to be butchering in October. Maybe we have a
gonna be
couple things we
rusty.
can bring.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. All right. Well,
I just have one thing I want to say.
All right.
I just got a text from R. Scott Hoover. R. Scott.
a frequent contributor.
Today is National Brothers Day, and I'm glad you are my brothers.
Aw,
Thank you, Scott,
R.
for
Scott.
reminding us of that. Anyway,
All right. Great.
A little late.
We love us some R.
We do.
yeah, we do.
All right.
Josh, open the gate.
Tase the chickens.
Wait a minute.
Oops. Gotta love
Okay,
it.
go.
He has one job. He has one job.
Hey, special thanks to Effort Lodge 665.
You're welcome.
For making our studio available all the time, again, forever. To Josh Lamberton. I didn't hear it, Lodge Killer. Anyway, Josh Lamberton.
Lamberton Killer.
Yeah. Josh Lamberton, our producer and director, for doing an outstanding job as always. Jack Harley, our news director. Jack, you need to find Walter. Something's going on. He went out in that sailboat, and we haven't heard from him since. Anyway, Tim Dedman, our marketing director. Michelle Snyder, Douglas Madenford.
It's about
Amazing.
time.
And Austin,
2.5 years.
And Austin Schifrin.
Wow.
The Sonic
Both in the same night.
Whoa. Great listeners. And to all of our listeners who always make doing this show worthwhile. This is Larry Merris. Thanks for listening.
Don't forget, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our website.
Have fun. Do good.
Mox good.
Bye, everybody.
Awesome. Good job. Good job.